The 11th annual CopperDog2020. I'd like to thank everyone for being here. How many new timers do we have? First time people. Good job. Excellent. 1 year. How many people have done it for 1 year? How many people have done it for 10 years? All right, good job. So I'm going to be your trainer during this first section. My name is Doug Hart, and I am addicted to CopperDog.
Yeah.
No, you guys are supposed to say, "Hi, Doug Hart. My name is Doug Hart, and I'm addicted to CopperDog." Perfect. Thank you. Okay, Vanna White, Tony, is going to help me out today.
That's fine. It'll be on my card.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. And I'll get you that shirt, Jamie.
Okay, sounds good.
Outline of our training today, we're going to be going over these bullet points. Our first one is the dog sled equipment 101. How to handle a team and keep them straight. That's always fun. Anatomy of a crossing, do's and don'ts, and things that you might see. Okay? I wanted to let everyone know that this is what it takes to run CopperDog. As you can see, there's quite a bit. We have 7 board members. All of our board members, can you just hold your hand up? Thank you, guys. We also have a very busy planning committee, so those of you that are sitting, Race Planning Committee, can you please stand up and wave to the crowd? Excellent. 19 vet staff. Anyone who doesn't think that our dogs aren't taken care of is crazy. We have 19 people that are going around to every checkpoint making sure that these dogs are in good condition. So I always like to make sure that we give our vet staff credit. And finally, you guys, 685 shifts to run CopperDog. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, thank you guys. So Chrissy, how many was that for just Friday alone? 350 people just on Friday alone. That's insane. I think it was 108 for Saturday. So it's crazy. Okay. Dog Equipment 101. Of course, we lost our musher. Whenever you need a musher, you can never find them. So the first thing I want to show you guys is, I need a helper. Don't you jump up on the table. Don't fall. Did you sign your waiver? Let me get on the back side here. So the first thing we're going to show you is the harness. So this is what hooks a dog to the game line, okay? This is the harness. Their neck goes right through here. They hook to what is called the tug line, which is back here, which is hooked to our long game line in the front. Some teams, most teams, from what I've seen, use what we call a neckline, okay? And that gets hooked to the dog's collar. Now, let me tell you what. I was helping Mr. High, who's out in the hallway, at the midnight run last week. I was standing on a sled, and he does not use necklines. So, as we're going down the snow road, I'm looking at a person, I'm going, "Hey, get out of the way. I need you guys to move." Don't be offended if a musher says that to you. It's okay. I'm trying to tell him to move because he's about to fall. So what happens is, when you don't have a neckline, this dog can come all the way out to here, okay? Instead of being connected to the game line. So when you have a dog way over here and another one way over there, good chances are you're going to take a spill. So we don't want that to happen. Everyone signed their waiver, right? Good. So if we have a team that doesn't have necklines, we may give you a leash. Okay? We're making leashes right now. So if you get a leash, that's because you got a team that doesn't have a neckline. Brakes. No, where's Tom? This is Tom's part, not mine. Tom!
Yes.
There he is. Me? So just so you know, I'm going to go over some of the stuff on the actual sled, but I'm going to cut them really short because Tom likes to talk. Right, Tom?
I'm going to stick to business today.
Excellent.
All right, so you guys are out there. I presume that a number of you have come here to decide whether you can be dog handlers or not.
Really?
This is one of the main reasons why we have this program. This is one of the reasons why we have this program, is so that you guys get a chance to go out there and see what it's really like to handle a dog team before you get to where you're at, trying to get them down to the start line. These dogs will be crazy, but the dogs that you're going to be taking up to the start line, if you are choosing to be a dog handler, will be crazier than you can ever believe, and they will be pulling harder than you know. They don't look very big, but they're powerful.
That far away, you probably can't.
So I'm going to start out by going through some things on the sled so that you know the parts of the sled in case you need to help a musher control the dog by taking over the sled. Okay, so every sled has some features on it, and I bring people out to do tours at my house all the time. First thing I tell them is we don't have to make these dogs run. You can see how excited they are. You get them on the sled, you got to control the dogs. You got to be able to stop them, slow them down. We do that with a couple of things. This is a drag mat. If you want to stop the dogs, you don't want to use the drag mat. This is mainly used to control the dogs at a certain pace and to help you control the sled through difficult technical terms and things of that nature. This is the brake right here. It's an aluminum bar that's got two prongs on it, and those prongs go down into the surface and slow the dogs down and hopefully stop them. Okay, there's another brake that we have. I call it our mechanical brake. It's called a snow hook. The snow hook is also what we use to stop the dogs with. I put the snow hook in as I am stopping the sled with the brake to set the snow hook into the snow. Not everybody does that. Some people just pull it out and kick it into the snow after they've got the dog stopped. But if you are in a situation where you are stopping a dog team and there's no driver, or if the driver has asked you to control his dog team by getting on the brake on the sled, stand on that brake with both feet. And if the dog driver has not put this snow hook in yet, locate the snow hook and set the snow hook into whatever surface you've got. If it's a hard surface, you can't kick it in very good. Any purchase that this hook can get is better than no purchase at all. Okay, so if you are controlling a dog team by the sled, you got to get on the brake and you got to put the snow hook in, okay? We'll go up towards the front of the sled. There is also on a lot of sleds, on my sled I have a snub line. The snub line has a panic snap on it and some loops so that you can also loop this around something and hook it up so that that is an additional support for holding the dogs back from taking off with the sled. When you get out there and we're hooking up my dog team, please look at it so that you can see, how this snub line works as far as holding the dog team back. There's not a lot of purchase out there for my snow hook, so we'll be depending mostly on the snub line as far as holding the dog team back. It never hurts to have more than one person trying to control a sled either. If you got a wild dog team on there, especially if there's no driver, get 2 or 3 people on this sled, somebody holding it back, someone with both feet on the brakes, someone making sure that the snow hook is in, and you can even stand on top of the snow hook to make sure the dogs don't pop the snow hook out. Because if you are depending on that snow hook, the dogs are going to eventually run away because they can pull that snow hook out of the snow eventually if they're all pounding on their harnesses together. All right, so we move out to the front of the sled. This is a driving bow that the driver hangs onto. This is a brush bow that's used to deflect the sled away from potential obstacles like trees. From the bottom of the sled comes a bridle. And to the bridle is attached by a carabiner, or sometimes two, is attached to gang line. The gang line is what the dogs are hooked up to. Every gang line consists of a main line, and off of the main line we have tug lines which go to the back of the harness, and neck lines which go to the collar of the dog. If you've got a huge dog tangle up that you're helping somebody untangle, especially if the driver's not there, my recommendation would be undo the tug lines off of the dog's harnesses. Number one, they won't be able to pull as hard with just their neck lines. And number two, most tangles can be untangled rather quickly if all you've got the dogs attached to is by their neck lines. However, be careful, dogs can pull out of their collars. So if you see a dog going like this, trying to back out of its collar, immediately get to that dog and calm it down.
I did explain to them too that some teams don't use neck lines. So be aware of that.
Yeah, some teams don't use neck lines. If that is the case, good luck. If you are, so I'm just going to explain real quickly. The harnesses, this is an X-back racing harness. Some harnesses will be different, but most people use these. There's a hole that the head goes through. This is the body hole that the head also goes through, and the arms stick out the sides. Just in case you ever see a dog that the harness is cockeyed on it and you got nothing else to do, the dog team is under control, you're petting the dog, you can probably straighten the harness out on the dog. I wouldn't be averse to somebody doing that with my dogs.
The other thing I want to mention, if they don't use a neckline, there's nothing wrong with going up to the musher and saying, look, how do you want us to handle this? Because more than likely, they're going to have their own handlers. They're going to help take the team up, and then you're going to come back and see me to get another sheet to go find another sheet to handle for it. What I have found when I worked with Justin, the best way to handle them is basically to go up to those lead dogs and either hold them by the collar, or I grabbed one by the collar and I had both by the tug line. And I was able to keep them fairly under control.
Some mushers don't like it, but another good place to get a purchase is on the top of their back on the harness. If that's the only way that you can control the dog, you're having a hard time by the collar, or the tug line is, they're dragging you all over the place, just grab the top of the back of the harness like this, and that usually is a good way to keep control of the dogs too. You can actually lift up on them and take some of the pressure. They can't get as good a purchase if you lift up on them. It's a lot better, and it looks better also if you don't drag them, you're not picking up by the collar. Now if you see dogs being, they look like they're being dragged by their collar, that's not really what's happening. The musher is being dragged by the dog, who is up on his back feet pulling as hard as he can, and the dog musher is just trying to hold him back. So that's what really goes on there. If you get into that situation, you'll see what I mean. Okay, so one thing that you might be confronted with if you are at road crossings, you might be confronted with a runaway team. Okay, it happens every once in a while. It happened to me once in a race, and it's happened to me before on training runs. If you have a runaway team coming down the trail, you see that there's no musher on the sled, that dog team needs to be stopped and gotten under control immediately, because it is a danger. Dogs can get into fights, dogs can get dragged by their collars and asphyxiated. A runaway team is a dangerous thing for the dogs and for people and for vehicles. So please, if you see a runaway team, please get it under control right away. Now this sounds kind of stupid, but the best way to stop a runaway team is get in front of it. Okay, it's going to look like you're going to get run down. All right, but almost never have I seen a dog team run a person down. Okay, I've seen people swept by the gang line. If teams are moving and they're on the wrong side of a turn, I've seen people get swept over and dragged. I've been dragged by the gang line, hanging onto it. If they pop the hook on me when I'm up in front of a 16-dog team, but most of the time, these dogs are going to see you going, hey, stop, stop, stop. And they're gonna ball up. Okay, and as soon as they start to ball up, you gotta run for that sled, jump on the back of it, and get on that brake. Most likely, you're going to get jerked because they're going to go, oh, hey, nobody's in front of us anymore, and they're going to want to take off. So you got to get to that sled as fast as possible. Preferably, you've got 2 or 3 people. And 2 people should get in front of the dogs to stop the dogs, and 1 person should be heading towards that sled even before the dogs stop. Get on the back of that sled, get on the brakes with both feet, and just hang on. Do not let go. Even if you fall over, hang on. Do not let go, because those dogs are going to go as soon as they feel no weight on that sled. Any questions so far? Okay, most of the time, dogs that are hooked 2x2 on here with neck lines and tug lines, the best place for you to go if you are holding the team back for the driver is somewhere in between the 2 teams. Preferably right in the middle of the 2 teams. And the reason why you want to do that, you don't want to be too close to these dogs and step on their back feet, and you don't want to be too close to those dogs right here because you might step on their front feet. So you want to be right in the middle of those 2 dog teams, and if you can grip your hand around both the tug lines and the gang line, that's the best purchase you can get. And you want to lean back. Just like this. You want to lean back and hold, because you're holding those dogs back. And as they take off, you want to put yourself in a position where you can move. If, by any chance, you feel like you are going to go down, do not fall on top of the dogs. If you're going to go down, sacrifice yourself and roll away from the dogs, okay? And do it, you can do it just like Tom Cruise. Just take a nice little tumble, roll, and pop back up and go, I'm okay! All right? If you get hurt, just lay there and wait till somebody can help you. I hope that nobody gets hurt out there, and I just want to tell you that this is kind of a dangerous thing, handling these dogs. They are very powerful. You know, you're going to see, I've got some little guys out there today. They are some of the most powerful dogs I've ever had. So just be careful out there and have a lot of fun. Is there anything else, Doug, you can think of?
You went over half my stuff.
Any questions? Any questions? No questions? Yes.
Like, how are the squads? Like, you know, I'm doing day 3 from Copper Harbor to Calumet. I was hoping it'd be nice and worn out by day 3 and not as wild as Friday night. But so my squad does one. How many mushrooms do they start, or how does it rotate? Like.
Okay, so you'll have a leader. You'll have a leader that is organizing your squads, and they'll divide you up, and they will organize you. They will send you off in groups of 3 to 4. Now, if you have a 10-dog team, if you're doing the 150 teams, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 people possibly, one in between each dog team, one in between the sled and the first dog team. Okay, there will be some people that have enough of their own handlers. Like I've got, see these kids back there in the corner? Those are students from Michigan Tech. They're from the Mushroom Club at Michigan Tech. When I was at the midnight run this last weekend, we had a pit crew of about 20 of them out there catching our sleds as we came in. It was awesome. We didn't have to have handlers from the race organization bring our sleds up because we had enough students that would do that. So ask them right away, do you guys need us? If not, go back to your organizer and say, hey, they didn't need us, who can we help next? Okay? They will not be more worn out from Copper Harbor to Calumet. They will just have been really energized because they've gotten like 16 hours of rest, just so you know.
Thank you, Tom. Let's give Tom a round of applause. So to go back to your question that you had about teams, I believe you have, Chris, you have 4 or 5 per team? 6 to 8. So you're going to do pretty good. You're going to be able to hold those dogs back pretty decent. The problem that you run into is the faster you go, and the faster the musher lets you go, the easier it is to lose control. And that's when you're worrying about falling down. So if everyone's down, pulling back, not leaning forward, you're going to do a little better. Okay? Perfect. Next slide. Oh, you got it already. So while moving a park team, remember a straight team is a happy team. Okay? So we don't want to ball them up. We want to keep them as straight as possible. You'll hear the musher behind you. Line out, line out. He's telling the dogs to straighten out, go out straight. It doesn't always happen that way, but they will say it. Bend over, stay low, holding the game line. Remember, lean back a little bit. And be careful not to step on paws. Please don't use yak tracks that day. Okay? Also, if you have neos, if you have the spikes in the bottom, take them out that day or wear a different pair of boots. Okay, you don't want to step on dog paws. All right, anatomy of a crossing. So just so you guys know, we have a trail boss that goes out about 30 minutes ahead of time. He's usually checking on trail conditions, making sure that there's no trees down in case he needs to cut something, making sure signs are still up. And then he has the lead snowmobiles. And those are the ones that you guys are going to see if you're at a road crossing. You're going to see more than likely 2 sleds. They're going to come, they're going to say, hey, the team's behind me about 2-3 minutes, and then it goes on, okay? Then you have all the teams. We have 30 up there, but Friday you can see right now as many as 43 teams. So our registration is doing pretty good. Then you have the sweep snowmobiles. It's very important. Please don't leave your post until you've been released by the sweeps. Okay? They're going to say, okay, there's no more teams behind me. You can go ahead and go home. If you put snow on the road, clean that snow back up if you wouldn't mind. Make everything look as nice as it was before you got there. Okay? Next slide. So the cushion, I believe, is in the website, correct, Chrissy?
Around 15 minutes before that.
Okay, so 15 minutes before that cushion. To be honest with you, it always seems like Friday and Saturday is perfect. Sunday, for whatever reason, the dogs seem like they're running quicker. And we're getting to the road crossings just a few minutes early than what it says on the website. So they tried to build in a cushion there. But if you could do 15, 20 minutes, that would be great. Good question. So I almost took some of this out of our presentation. To me, I'm going to start at the bottom and talk about our spotter. To me, that's the most important person. You want to send the spotter down the trail a little bit and have them say, "Team coming!" Just yell it out as loud as you can from a distance. So you guys at the road crossing know, okay, I need to get into position. I need to know where, make sure ahead of time that you're deciding who's doing what position. Don't sit there and not talk to each other, and then teams come and you're like, oh, who's grabbing the sled? Who's stopping the team? Who's grabbing the lead dogs? Who's standing out in the road, making sure the snow fence is up? Get all that taken care of before those teams come, okay? Bib checkers, some of your road crossings will have a timing person, what do we call that? Timer, okay, timing person. I thought that said something different on the sheet. They're going to be writing down the time, the bib number of that person. You want to at least have 1, maybe 2 people that can hold on to the sled in case you have to stop that team. If, for whatever reason, you stop, or maybe the musher stops and he wants to move some dogs around, okay? Ask him if you want him to hold, if he wants you, or she wants you to hold their sled. And that could be as simple as getting back here and holding this guy down, okay? Because he or she might want to go move some other dogs around. Maybe they got a tangle, who knows what? Maybe he needs a bag of dog, Could be anything. Crossing guard, you want to make sure that person is there as well. That person is going to be telling the team, basically, if we can go or if we need to stop at the road crossing. For a minute. Next slide. Oh, perfect. You can have that back. Okay, so during the daytime we have these handy dandy cardboard, red on one side, green on the other. Red means stop. I gotta say it. Green means go. Okay? So if you don't have one of those, it's all hand signals. Okay? Put your arms up, crossed. For what? Stop, thank you. What does that mean? Go. Next. Flashlight. Maybe you don't have a flashlight. Maybe you have someone with a headlamp. What does that mean? Stop. What does this mean? Make sure you're facing it towards the musher so he can see. Don't go like this. Remember, sometimes at these road crossings you're going to see, is that right? Sometimes you're going to see fire departments there. They got flashing lights going. There's a lot of lights. You know, this musher's going along, dark, peaceful. Maybe they see the blinking light, you know, on their lead dog, having a great time, and the next thing you know, boom, here comes all these lights. So they know something's coming up in the dark. They don't always know in the nighttime, or in the daytime. But when you see that, and it's facing towards you, and one person is designated to do that, that's great. So what's everyone else? How many people have headlamps? Everybody, just about one, only half of us. I bet you everyone's going to go get a headlamp after this. They're fun, but we need to make sure only one person has them on. Okay? Next slide. My favorite. You're getting ahead of me. So you're at the road crossing, and that's what your fire department looks like, right? Hey, Jake? Thank you. Flashing light? Okay. So I got my headlamp on, and I'm talking. Hey, how's it going? Come on up here real quick. There's my helper again. So yeah, we're talking, we're BSing, and looking. Oh, is that a musher coming? What's that? You see that? Oh, no, there it is, over there. Well, now the musher's going, what's going on? Does that mean go? Does that mean go? When a musher's coming, turn off your headlamp, please, okay? Thank you. Next. Do's. Everyone should have a safety vest on. There's pretty yellow ones and pretty orange ones. They say CopperDog2020 on them. Please wear them. It's a good habit to get into. When you're done with them, make sure you give them back, okay? We just bought 60 of them because we lost 60 last year. Park far off the road with hazards flashing. So don't get right up on the road crossing. Walk a little bit. Make sure you're back far enough, okay? Bring flashlight or headlamp. Of course, on Friday only. Show up early. We talked about that. There is no buffer time, so Chris is right. Please show up 15, 20 minutes early. Bring a shovel. Is anyone a weather person in here? Is John D in here? No? Are we supposed to get snow between now and... Anyone know? I don't think we are. So fortunately, we need some of you to bring shovels so you can throw a little bit of snow on the road so that when the musher goes across, he's not ruining runners. Okay, anyone that cross-country skis or downhill skis, and get things scratched up on the bottom, it slows you down. Okay, so the mushers, they really appreciate that. Have a secondary signaler in case of blind corners. Very possible. Sunday, is anyone at, what do we call that? It used to be gas plant, or gas tank crossing. It's by the little gift shop by Cliff Drive there. They come across the snowmobile trail. That's a blind corner. So it goes, so the musher's coming towards you, and they make a left, then they make a right, and boom, they're on the road, they're crossing the road. That's a good place to have 2 spotters, okay? Stop team if you're unsure of safety, okay? It's always better to stop the team if you have any questions. Is that car too close? Is it far enough away? Stop them if you have to, okay? We'd rather them be safe. We want everyone to have a great time, of course. That's what makes our community the best, because we have 100 of you that show up at this every year, willing to volunteer for the Copper Dog, and we really appreciate that. Don't offer dogs any food. Let me tell you what. We have some folks that over the last couple of years, they've liked throwing food out on the snow road. We've had Whoppers, had hot dogs. Any dog that wants to run is going to run, but if they see food, what are they going to do? They're going to stop. They're going to eat food, just like me. Don't stop traffic, okay? The only one that can stop traffic is the police. Okay, fire department is there. They might stop them. We don't tell them to stop them. If they stop them, follow their lead. Preferably just the police stops them. And that's usually just on 5 road crossings. Okay, so there's a lot of road crossings out there that you're not going to have any fire or any police. And that's usually your smaller road crossings. Do not allow cars to stop and observe. One of the things that you'll notice is you'll be at a road crossing and you'll be like, all right, car's coming. They're still coming. They're slowing down and slowing down and slowing down. Just wave them through, get them past you, and then they can stop. But if they sit there just coming along slow, just watch it real close. Because it's very hard to gauge when you're going to send a team through that road crossing, okay? Don't leave unattended fires. So if you have a fire, we love it. We think it's great. But don't leave it unattended. So Boy Scouts, I know you guys are really good at the snow thermometer. Once you're done, you cover that up. You have no clue that there was a fire there until the spring. So good job, you guys. But that's how we want it to be handled. Do not contact dogs unless emergency is imminent or musher requests. So basically what they're talking about is, when Tom was mentioning if a dog's kind of tied up on the gang line, ask him if he wants you to untangle it. He said, well, you can just unhook them by the tug line. Well, let me tell you what, them dogs are strong. And you're holding them by the back of this harness right here, and they're going to pull you, okay? So make sure you get their permission before you do anything. Leave your pets home. Simple as that. If you fall, don't hang on. You're going to go for a heck of a ride. Roll out. Every year I see someone fall. Every year I fall. And it's actually quite funny sometimes, but sometimes it hurts. So if you fall, try to fall out, okay? Either direction. Don't go in towards the dogs. Don't leave your crossing until sweeps come through. I think we mentioned that already. Next slide. Safety policy is the responsibility of the CopperDog2020 Board of Directors to provide. and maintain a safe trail and road crossings. However, race participants are expected to be in control of their teams at all times. So basically, what we're saying is ultimately, it's the musher's responsibility for just about everything. But we're there to help assist them, okay? Next slide. Things you might see. Tangles happens all the time. You're going to be standing at a start and dogs are boing, boing, bouncing all over the place, jumping over the next one, and you're like, what is going on? What do you want me to do? Let the musher know, let their handlers know. They'll take care of it. If you feel comfortable untangling them, go for it. I always ask the musher myself personally before I put my hands on their dog. Quarrels, arguments, tiffs, spats, they love to argue with each other. Usually they're just hollering at each other, getting everyone excited on their team. Sometimes they bite at each other. If you see them really biting at each other, don't do anything. Let the musher know. Don't put your hands in there. Okay? It'll hurt. Trust me. Done it. Snowmobiles. We are very lucky to run about, we're probably at 85% snowmobile trails. And we do give the KTS a little bit of money for that, kind of like buying a snowmobile sticker. We're all about supporting our community as well. So our groomers do a great job up here, and they're doing it for the snowmobilers, not for the CopperDog. So we just need to remember that, okay? If you get a snowmobiler who's yelling at you at a road crossing, smile, thank you, have a nice day, okay? Don't get in an argument with them, preferably not. It is their trail. Ghost musher, I saw a look, someone gave it a really, I think it was you in the back there with the white glasses. A musher's on the loose. The dog team, the musher fell off, and the dog team is going chaotic down the trail. Trust me, if you stand in front of that team, they're going to be like, whoa, 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 what's going on? They're going to stop for you, okay? They're going to ball right up. You won't have any trouble. Don't worry about it. It's going to be all right. Just grab the line once you get to them. Dogs not wearing necklines. So I think I mentioned that enough. I added this because of what I had witnessed with the musher that I was handling for. Ask them how, if you see someone without necklines, ask them how they'd like you to handle it, okay? Next. In closing, reminder, please turn your vests in. They're expensive. It's always good to get them back. If you have the Aspirus ones for the volunteer, for the handlers, please bring those back. Last year I got a picture from Kelly, one of our board members, who was at Bohemia the next day, Saturday. There's a skier at his volunteer bib on. Look at me. Great on social media. Nice job, dude. Turn all your snow fencing in. Also, Walt wanted me to make sure, Walt's in the back there. Wait, Walt, thank you. Walt, if you're a coordinator for a road crossing, get with Walt and he'll get you your snow fencing today. Then we don't have to track you down later, okay? So we're gonna go outside here shortly. John Koskanini, maybe, myself, Kim, where's Kim? Kim PC are gonna go through the outside portion of how to actually handle the team. If you've done it before and you don't want to do it, you don't have to. If you want to come out because you're a pro and show the newbies, come on out. We're glad to have you. Tom probably has a team hooked up, ready to go. It's not as long as a run. Our run got cut off by the new gym. So, After that, or in between that, if you don't need to see that, and you're willing to stay for a few minutes, I see a lot of young, strapping people back there. We could use some help loading some snow fencing, okay? 2 trailers worth. Quite a bit, right, Tony? A lot of 2x4s. Finally, thank you guys. We really, really do appreciate you guys being here. Before we go anywhere, we do have something from Kiko, who's our official timer. If you see Kiko in a van, or his timing crew, stay away from their van. Kiko will tell you right away, get away. Because he takes it very serious. Our timing's one of the best around. Go ahead, Kiko.
The comment about not bringing your pets, you guys are here taking the training, of course you're not going to bring your pet. There's a lot of people that come watch this race that have not been part of the training. So just because you have been told not to bring your pet, doesn't mean you won't see people bringing their pets out there. Every year it's a problem. And I swear some people bring their pets because they know they're not supposed to. It's kind of sad. So what I ask of you guys is, if you see somebody with a pet, it doesn't have to be a dog, it can be a rabbit, it can be a snake, any pet, any animal, right? Please approach them and ask them to take their pet home or put the pet in the car and explain why that is. Because we can't police everywhere. I can't be everywhere during the race. Neither can Doug, neither can any of the other officials. So if you're out there at a road crossing, if you're handling at a start or a finish, and you see somebody, just approach them nicely. You can't make them take their pet home, but you can be nice about it and explain why that could be an issue. And it has been an issue. And people bring their pets back. I don't want to say they bring them back, but pets show up every year. All right, thanks.
Hey Doug.
Yes.
And just another thing to add to someone that has a pet, reinforce that it's for their pet's safety. Reinforce that we're doing this to keep your dog safe. Not, don't, it's for the sled dogs, but just reinforce to someone. We're asking you to please take your dog back to your car for your pet's safety.
Yeah, remember that the mushers' dogs are they're their own pack. And what does the pack do? They protect their own. Okay, so great point, thank you. So again, thank you guys for coming. Remember that we have the best community, as we can see it every year. Those of us that are here every year to see this whole room fill up, it just is mind-boggling to me. It really is. So thank you guys. We really appreciate it. We thank you for coming out. Don't forget to get Joni your waivers, and we'll see you outside. Thank you.